What's going on, everybody? RJ Ochoa here from SB Nation's bloggingtheboys.com. Hope all is well wherever you are. Hope you're happy, safe, healthy. Want to wish you a very happy Halloween. I hope the candy is delicious. I hope the tricks, the treats, I hope it's all amazing. I hope you have some fantastic costumes, whether they're yours, your children's, your friends, your families, your neighbors, the kids who come to your door. Whatever you got going on, I hope it's awesome, and I hope you can breathe better than I could right here. Goodness gracious, my family and I, my wife, my son, we were all Spider-Man a couple years ago. I was gonna put on the year after that. My son was Winnie the Pooh, and I was Tigger, and I was gonna go put that on to do this video, but that was gonna be a big old just a big old thing. It's a big old costume. You know how those things tend to go. And I didn't want to upset the dogs, Bear and Honey. They're already behaving well enough. So I have this Spider-Man mask in here. And I figured, hey, I could have put on my Yoshi hat that I'm going to be wearing this evening when we take my son trick-or-treating. But the Spider-Man mask just made all the sense in the world. So happy Halloween. It is Friday, October 31st, 2025, the final day of October. Going to be November very soon, tomorrow, literally. It's the best time of year. I love talking football with all of you, all my friends on the internet. So if you haven't yet, please subscribe here to the Blog on the Boys YouTube channel where I talk about the Cowboys each and every single day, all sorts of shows, live shows, interviews, et cetera, et cetera. You can also hang out with me on social media. I'm on X, Instagram, and Threads at RJ Ochoa, TikTok, rj.ochoa. Go like my Facebook page, follow me on LinkedIn, whatever you want. Email is rj.ochoa@sbnation.com, or you can leave a comment down below, and I'll do my very best to get to those as well. This is Final Thoughts. It's a weekly video that I do ahead of every Dallas Cowboys game. Obviously, this week's a little bit different with the Cowboys playing on Monday Night Football. My apologies. We did not have an interview this week with somebody who covers the opponent in question, which is the Arizona Cardinals. I know a lot of people, very, very fortunate to, who cover the Cardinals, but just kind of a weird week for everyone. I think it was, the holiday, and the Halloween landed on a Friday, just kind of changed some stuff. And that the Cowboys play on Monday Night Football, Cardinals obviously as well. So apologies for that. We'll be back on schedule with having people who cover the opposing team following the bye when the Cowboys head out to face the Las Vegas Raiders. But today we're here to talk about just kind of final thoughts. And I think this kind of runs in line with the, scheduling snafus. The Cowboys are going to play a game on Monday night. Don't get me wrong, but it kind of doesn't really feel that way. This week has just felt so little about the Cardinals. And I don't know if it's just the negative attention following the loss of the Denver Broncos, or the Jerry Jones Wall Street Journal quote, which we're going to get to in a moment here, or just general apathy. Or maybe it is, again, like, I can only speak for myself, but I'm a Cowboys fan. I think we all kind of have, I want to say, similar lives, but everybody has things going on in their lives. And so maybe, we hit my family went to a fall festival on Wednesday, right? Like maybe it's just a weird week. Maybe it's just a weird week because it's a holiday and whatever, we're going to fall back, all that stuff. But this has not really felt like it's been a week about the Cardinals. It's just kind of felt like it's been a week about the Cowboys for me. And maybe you agree, maybe you don't. But this Wall Street Journal quote really sucked up a lot of the oxygen in the room for the Cowboys. So if you have no idea what I'm talking about, let's go ahead and get to it. Jerry Jones had an interview with the Wall Street Journal this week, and was talking about the oil business, gas business. I'm not an expert in this field, so if you are, and I'm getting a detail wrong here, my apologies. But this is what Jerry Jones had to say. This interview was posted by the Wall Street Journal on Wednesday, October 29th. Let me scroll down just a little bit so that's not totally flashing in your face. This is from the article, and this is what you're looking at on screen here. My article about this whole thing at bloggingtheboys.com. Jones, talking about Jerry, has poured more than $1 billion into natural gas driller Comstock Resources, betting it can drill some of the hottest, blah, blah. They want to make a lot of money. Cool. Comstock says it's set to do just that. It's Trump, blah, 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 blah. The last part here is what matters the most to us. Thank you, Bear. He's pretty pissed off because of what this says. Now, Jones says it's payday. This is Jerry Jones's quote to the Wall Street Journal. There's $100 billion present value with gas out there. That's why I'm talking to you, the interviewer, on the telephone rather than trying to fix our defense with the Dallas Cowboys. This, as you can imagine, upset some people. This, look, I'm fixing the quote that we're about to read here in a second here. I don't think that anybody disagrees. Jerry's quote to the Wall Street Journal was at best extremely tone deaf. It was at best total miscalculation. of how it was going to come across, either that or a lack of care for how it was going to come across. But it does come across, despite what you believe about how involved Jerry is as far as the day-to-day operations of the Dallas Cowboys, given who he is, given the positions that he holds relative to the Dallas Cowboys, it is a poor idea, was a poor idea to say this thing in a recorded interview, because it, again, if we're talking about just at the very least the most minimum level impact here, the most minimal level impact, it corroborates the idea that the Cowboys are not an organization that is focused on field success for the football team. It exacerbates these negative ideas. It amplifies the negative attention. It stirs the pot, stirs the cauldron, if you will, on Halloween and Halloween weekend. It only serves to make the situation more difficult, more tenuous for everyone involved. No good comes from saying something like that. No good comes from being the most visible person connected to the Dallas Cowboys football franchise and then using the Dallas Cowboys football defense as a punchline in your interview as it pertains to you making even more billions of dollars. No one is going to listen to you say that and go, ha, that was a real good one, Jerry. Great job. I think that people have a right to be upset about this. I think people have a right to feel scorned. I think that it's more than fair to be a Cowboys fan and feel like the input that you're offering from an emotional standpoint is not being matched by the highest points of leadership in the organization. And I think that that's why this week has just kind of taken on a different feel and a different vibe. And maybe they win their football game on Monday Night Football and get to 500 at the bye. And maybe we feel a lot better about this team a week from now. That is certainly possible. That's just kind of the give and take relative to how this thing goes. Jerry was asked about this on Friday morning during his appearance on 105.3 The Fan, and didn't really make the situation better. I'm going to read this word for word here. It is lengthy. Shout out to Tommy Yarish of DallasCowboys.com. He was the person who transcribed this. But Tommy's the man. Tommy's awesome. So here we go. This is Jerry's answer on 105.3 The Fan. Again, is transcribed by Tommy Yarish of DallasCowboys.com. We probably will get criticized if we aren't doing that. Goodness, I understand that perspective. We all get it. Let's just say what's going on here is we're not winning. We're not playing the way we want to be, the way I want to be, the way any of us want to be. And when you do that, you check your whole car with everything you're doing. You check where you spend your time, how you spend it. And that's what's going on here. It's no secret at all that ever since I've been involved, my days are involved in a manner of speaking in many areas. I frankly don't know how many people in football that don't have their days involved in different areas. To the degree is, of course, debatable. This is called professional football to make a point. That means it takes money to make it all go. Money. And so anytime that I'm doing anything that's away from looking at a specific player or how he's playing defense, it has to do with the latter. And ultimately, that latter leads ultimately to the benefit of the Cowboys. Me sitting here talking on this phone with you, talking to 105 The Fan at this point in time, the visits that I'm having with our fans through you, again, through the radio interview here, that'll help score touchdowns because it ultimately involves in a way that makes it doable. And there's no, in the real world, Santa Claus does not put the tricycle on the Christmas tree. We all know that. You have to have juice to make it go. So I've always combined and never been unabashed about it since the day I walked in. Every day, every time I can, I'm looking for ways to give advantages to the Dallas Cowboys. Anybody that says I don't focus on the Cowboys is just living in the moment of frustration. And I get that. I'm frustrated too. So I try very hard in life to give anyone grace, everyone grace, right? And I want to believe that this is earnest. I want to believe that it's the truth. I want to believe that it's coming from a point in perspective of honesty and integrity. And I'm not trying to say the opposite of what I think is happening here. I'm not trying to get carried away here, but this really just falls on deaf ears, I think is maybe the ultimate takeaway. This is difficult for people to take. And I somewhat agree with Jerry in that this is a result of the moment. I do think that the temperature of the moment, what with the Cowboys defense being so bad, the Cowboys losing games, the Cowboys coming off of a particularly embarrassing game and loss and defensive performance against Denver, that, that elevates the frustration. And that I do think that very often, Jerry's an easy target. So people grab their pitchforks and whatnot. And this kind of, was the middle, portion of the Venn diagram that kind of checked off all those boxes. But like, Jerry, you mean to tell me that you're using oil to fund the Dallas Cowboys? You you guys are in need of money, right? You're the you're the wealthiest franchise in the world, and you're in need of money. And that's off the field money, right? That's not, relative to the salary cap, but you have among the most salary cap space in the NFL, and you're looking through couch cushions for coins. I mean, like, it's an explanation and a story that really is difficult for the average fan to take. And I would offer that Jerry should have offered something like, you know what, I was caught up in the moment in this interview, and this is an important business financial matter to me, something I think we all are totally fine with. And in my, caught up in the momentness, I said something that was not very kind, that was a bit tone deaf. And I completely understand why our fans are upset about that comment. I am the most visible person relative to the Dallas Cowboys franchise because that's the way I like it. And so the fact that I was the person who said this was not cool. And I'm sorry for that. You can rest assured that my focus, my energy when I'm not dealing with these things, whatever, etc., is geared towards the on-field success, both offensive and defensive, of the Dallas Cowboys. Once again, my apologies. That's exactly what I think could have worked here, but instead we get this just full and total moving of goalposts. I'm trying to make money because everything I do is so focused, blah, blah, blah. Dude, no one is buying that anymore. And you're making it even more difficult for anyone to even conceive of buying that idea. And I don't think the fact that you're trying to push this harder and harder and harder is going to convince anyone of anything other than what you are proving to be as objective reality, and have proven to be objective reality for a very long time at this point. And so again, I mean, almost 12 minutes into this video, and haven't even addressed the Arizona Cardinals or Kyler Murray and how he's undefeated at AT&T Stadium, and how the Cardinals have won 7 of their last 8 games against the Cowboys, and Clayton Adams, and all this stuff. And it's because those things start to, I don't want to ever become, calloused to this. I'm very fortunate to get to do what I do for a living, and I love football. I love the Dallas Cowboys. I want them to have success. I think we all agree here. They're an important part of our lives. I'm going to assume that if the Cowboys were not an important part of your life, that you wouldn't be here right now watching this, however you're watching it. And I'm incredibly grateful that you are. But the reason you seek out, content about the team or whatever is because there's something of interest to you, right? Like, that's why we give our time to the places that we give our time. And I'm inordinately grateful that you do. But they are making it kind of difficult here. I mean, it's difficult to get jazzed about a Monday Night Football game against the Cardinals when you're creating these headlines, you're creating this attention. It just, I think that I'll speak for myself, and this is often a position I come back to. I really did. I used to argue, whether it was in person with people or on the internet. I used to argue that the Cowboys front office was not just about making money. And I think that I really believed that. I can tell you I believed it on some level. Maybe I believed it on all levels, but I think that as time has gone on, to use the parlance that Jerry offered in his Friday interview on 105 Through the Fan, everybody learns the truth about Santa Claus, right? Everyone learns how the tricycle arrives under the tree, again, to use Jerry's analogy here. And I think that as you go on, as the Cowboys continue to prove who they are to people, it becomes difficult. It becomes difficult to see this for anything other than what they present it to be. And they can tell you that they're presenting it to be something when all of their actions are telling you something else entirely. The literalness of the quote to the Wall Street Journal really is, I'm okay with a billionaire focusing on ventures that continue to make lots of money for the billionaire and the billionaire's overall net worth. That makes logical sense. I don't think anybody has an issue with that. But you can't tell us that you're a billionaire and you're focusing on the ventures of being a billionaire, but you are totally, completely in whatever focus. And I don't think anyone believes that you're totally and completely in whatever focus. And it's okay that you're not totally and completely in whatever focused on the day-to-day operations of the Dallas Cowboys. But by saying all of this out loud, by trying to just chase stories or narratives or whatever, or make up for this or whatever, you're only making the situation worse. You know what would be cool? Just silence. You know what would be cool is not having to focus on what was said in the Wall Street Journal about billion-dollar oil ventures, right? Like, no Dallas Cowboys fan really cares about this. They only care about what is happening on the football field. And to get to what is happening on the football field relative to this franchise is such a difficult proposition, which is kind of the general problem with this team these days. I know that's a lot about this whatever, but this whatever has just kind of been the main story. And again, I think the fact that the main story with the football team being about something that isn't about football is just kind of case in point why the Dallas Cowboys are who they are in our current moment in time. So I think the Cowboys are going to win, strangely enough, on Monday. But we will see. And I can tell you that whenever the game is over, we will be live right here on the Blog on the Boys YouTube channel and on the Bleacher Report app talking about whatever happened, hopefully in preparation of a Victory Polo Monday that will be on a Tuesday. Again, that is a best case scenario. But I hope you have a wonderful, fantastic Halloween. I hope you get all the candy, like I said. I hope that if you wear a mask, it's much more difficult to talk and breathe out of than this thing, although I do really like this. But all right, let's go ahead and let's get out of here. Thank you so much, everybody, for hanging out. Saturday, we'll have Dallas Cowboys and Espanol dropping on the channel. Sunday's a chill day, obviously, with the Cowboys being off, so enjoy it. Fantasy, Red Zone channel, whatever you got going on. Maybe you're doing some stuff around the house. We're falling back. We're losing that sunlight, but it's going to feel pretty cozy. So that's the best part about this time of year, outside of all the sports and whatnot. Let's go Blue Jays, and super, super, super bummed about Sam Levitt and the Arizona State Sun Devils, but that's okay. We're going to beat Iowa State on Saturday. So thanks so much, everybody, for hanging out, and we will see you next time.